Hello, everyone. Welcome back for a special episode. And yes, don't strike us down. This isn't Marvel content, but we kind of felt that because the Zack Snyder Justice League release was so monumental and we enjoyed it so much, why not make a little video on it? So we are literally just going to be talking about our thoughts on it and how much we loved it. Basically,
I think talking's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, we're just going to be fanboying it over for like 20 minutes. It's going to be great. But yeah, so we're just going to be talking through it for 20 minutes, and yeah, it's going to be fun. Go check out the podcast, the weekly podcast if you haven't already. And once again, you can find us on all our social medias at AOMCU21 on TikTok and Instagram, and our website, Agents of MCU. And also the podcast is available on Spotify and iTunes if you just search up the Hex Files. Right, let us get into it. Oh my god.
What a show.
God. Where do I even start? I mean, I think I just want to say first that I'm so glad this has happened. My first thought about it was that I bet it's very nice for the actors, for these 6 very talented people that really didn't have a good time when this movie first released, because do you know what? We're not even going to talk about the Justice League.
They just got bent over. They gave it all their all, and Josh Whedon just went, nah.
No,
we're just going to do our own thing. We're just going to take what we've got, just accept it.
Literally. So that is one of the main reasons I'm so glad about this project, is because they deserved this movie.
They deserve it.
Incredible movie. And they now have something to be very proud of, which I think is nice for them. You know, it is such an amazing movie, and it is something to be proud of, and they can look back and
I'm even proud of being able just to sit there for 4 hours and watch it, let alone actually like acting in that. Like, there is no way you can keep yourself contained while acting in that.
Honestly, I was the whole time my mouth was just it was jaw dropped. Like there was like certain moments
you couldn't have asked for anything better,
honestly. And I think, you know, down to the I mean, while I was watching it, I was like texting Will last night while I was watching it, like, oh my god, this has happened, and
you were what, half an hour behind me?
Yeah,
half hour behind me until you went and stopped for like an hour or so.
Yeah, but that's the problem, because it's so long. I kept having to like go away and do stuff and get ready for stuff. But
and then there was just me that just sat there on the sofa for 4 hours straight and just
4 hours straight. I would have done it.
Didn't stop. I did. I would have literally.
I literally would have done it.
It was worth it.
Like, yeah, honestly, I would have done it, and I think I probably will rewatch it at some point and do it.
I'm rewatching it. I'm rewatching it tomorrow or Sunday.
Yeah, I think I'm going to rewatch it over the weekend so I can watch it all in one go, because I stopped it at like parts. So I'd watch like 2 parts, then go away and do something, then watch another 2 parts and go away, which was quite nice. That's
probably the best way to do it.
Because
then it's not as good as just
the sort of chapter structure of it I really liked, because, you know, you could do that and you could go away and you could almost watch it like, you know, like a TV show, like an extended TV show, a bit like the Falcon and Winter Soldier. You know, you could watch it over 3 evenings with 3 sort of hour-long episodes.
But you wouldn't want to do that.
But you wouldn't want to do that, really. So don't do that.
You want to do it all at once.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess so.
Also, bear in mind, this is coming from die-hard Marvel geeks.
Yeah, like, we are top level Marvel fans, and I would put this as probably my joint second favorite comic film ever made.
I would even go as far to say it's better than Endgame.
See, stop! You can make me no, but I almost see. It's joint for me, but I think it's different, because my favorite comic book movie before this was Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and
I think most people's were.
Film. Yeah. Do you know what? I'd actually agree with you. I think this was better than Endgame. And
I think because it had more story in it. Unlike with Endgame, it's like a Snyder cut. Not an actual Snyder. It's like 2 films put together. But with Endgame, it's like 20 odd films put together in a way. But this isn't me going against Endgame. I think Endgame did an amazing job. They did an amazing job with Endgame. Couldn't have asked for anything better. But Snyder, I think Zack Snyder just he has a way at working with it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I know this sounds bad, but I think the low budget worked with it, because you could tell where the budget cuts were, like with the different aspect ratio. But that it worked. It generally worked.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You know, the visuals and the aspect ratio stuff. And I think, you know, this, you know, we were talking, and I was saying to Will last night again when I was texting him and watching it, I was like, the visuals are so much better. Like, they must have had to use such a big budget for the visual stuff. And then Will told me that it was a smaller budget.
And 23 point. It was a quarter of the. No, it was 23.8, 23% or something. Lower budget. So they only had 23% of what the original one did.
Yeah, because
it just goes to show that if you've got an amazing team behind it, you don't need a bucket ton of money.
You don't need the hundreds of millions of pounds. And, you know, you've got all the... I mean, there's so many things wrong with the CGI in the first
it helps.
Yeah. But does it, though? Because you think the Superman moustache, the Steppenwolf design and CGI was pretty poor. You know, there was...
Oh, my God.
It was just so... and, yeah.
You could tell where they cut corners in the first one.
Yeah. Let's talk about Steppenwolf.
Bring back the Snyderverse. Yeah. Snyderverse. Bring it back. We want it. We want it canon.
Yeah, let's talk about Steppenwolf, though.
Oh.
Where do we even start? Let's start with the costume, because it was just beautiful.
The chrome and the moving parts.
The moving parts, genius. Like, because so many, I think when you think of, like, you know, villain army, you think big scary stuff, but it's, you know, you wouldn't think of it moving, but it gave it character. And because of the whole his little, like, spider drone mind thing that sort of came out, and it made it feel very alive.
And it also, like you're used to, like Thanos, for example, you're used to seeing a scary villain in and out of the armor. Like Thanos, he was scary with his head headpiece thing, his helmet,
the thing on his head,
and he was scary without it. But then you've got Steppenwolf, that when he took his, like, head thing off, he didn't look like a villain. He looked like a standard alien that was just trying to find his way in the universe. And that's what I think works so well. And also, you kind of got a connection with him in a weird way. It's like he was looking for redemption. He didn't want to do this for himself. He was doing it for redemption, and that kind of gives you, like, I think that's one thing they missed in the first one, is giving him a reason as to why.
Yeah, I would totally agree, because I think it's the same with one of the reasons people love Thanos in Infinity War so much, is because
you understand him.
Yeah, he was given a much more understandable narrative and a much more understandable motives, and that's why I think Steppenwolf just was better in every way in this version, because, like we say, he looked infinitely better, and you actually understood his story. And
unlike before, it was kind of just, he's looking for the mother boxes. 6 people are going to join forces. You don't really find out much about them if you don't already know a bit about them. They're just thrown together, and you just got to suck it up.
Yeah, I think that's something we should talk about. You know, the character development in this film.
Oh yes,
was just wonderful.
Gonna beat it.
Like, and I think the one that we're all so happy about is Cyborg. You know, the
he got ruined in the first one.
He absolutely slated him.
He's such a good character. Even in the comics, he's not the biggest of household names compared to the Flash, Aquaman, Superman, and Batman, is he? Even Wonder Woman, he's not a household name. He's just Cyborg, and no one really knows his story. And even for people that haven't read the comics, or have just been like, oh, there's a big film coming out that's got a load of hype around it, let's watch it, and you understand him.
Yeah, and I think it was really good to see, you know, that relationship between him and his father, and then him and his mother explored more, and, you know,
even if it was just through visions, it works.
Yeah, more and more about,
in a
his
weird way.
creation. Yeah, and him testing out his abilities for the first times, and it just felt a lot more contextualized, and it felt it had more meaning. Like, I
Yeah,
in the first film, I didn't really feel much of a connection to the character. I thought, he's
I didn't
cool.
feel
He looks
a connection to any of the characters in the first one. It's kind of just
no,
hear the characters deal
yeah,
with it.
they look kind of all right. They've got some cool action sequences, but I don't really understand any of them. I don't have any
Mm.
context for them.
I
I
think
don't
that's
know
one
the
thing that
characters.
Warner Bros doesn't understand is people aren't as fussed about action sequences. Like, yes, they're amazing and we love them,
Hmm.
but it's an action sequence without a story behind it. Is just people throwing punches. It's like a playground fight, isn't it? Without a
Hmm.
story, it's
The thing is,
meaningless and it gets boring after a while.
and that was one of the key differences between Snyder and Whedon. The Snyder cut is, I'd say, probably 85% narrative and 15%
Mm,
action sequence at the most. Whereas the Whedon cut, it's like 60,
completely.
70% action and
Mm.
30% storytelling, which just
He,
doesn't
to be
work.
fair, he did the same with Age of Ultron, but that
Yeah.
kind of works because you had met the characters before.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we
Once you have
like
that
there's no Flash
establishment,
film. Like, there was no Flash film. There was no
yeah.
Batman film for this Batman. No, Superman was the only one that went into Justice League with a film. Every other Cyborg still doesn't have anything coming. Flash has got his film coming up next year, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Ben Affleck doesn't have a Batman film. Aquaman was the year after. Same with Wonder Woman. So you were kind of just given these characters and just like, yes, they're the characters you know and expect, but you don't know this character.
Yeah, I think like it was the same with like it was like kind of the same with like what's it called, Batman versus Superman. That's the one. We got glimpses of them, and then I think it would have worked perfectly because obviously Snyder's plan was to drop Wonder Woman in. We get a bit of fighting. We get to see her for the first time.
Yeah.
It's like a tease, and then in Wonder Woman and Zack Snyder's Justice League, we get a big development on her. We see her coming to her own as a leader and as part of the team and stuff like that.
It was nice to see Batman and Wonder Woman have that connection, though. That like they've clearly kept in contact since the events of Batman versus Superman. Unlike I don't remember the original one that well, but I don't remember them having much of a connection. They were very much still strangers, but they worked together to bring the team together in this one, which I liked.
Yeah,
and I liked how they had like she understood that Aquaman was going to be different because of their them. That's why she was like, I'll go get the Cyborg, you go get Aquaman. So it's not a clash of like, oh, it's definitely a no before you even talk to each other.
Yeah, and I think there's interesting parts of those relationships as well. And one of the parts I really loved was the relationships with and how involved Alfred was in the film. I really loved that because I think Jeremy Irons' Alfred is a really interesting take on the character. It's a very non-conventional take on the character. We expect
it's not
to be...
it's not the Alfred we know. It's a young Alfred. It's a Alfred that's still living his life, unlike in the Christian Bale trilogy. Who older. I'm not complaining, but he was very much the Alfred we all know. We know the Alfred. He doesn't get involved. Unlike this Alfred that we saw, Snyder Cut was very much a Ned Leeds to compare it to Marvel. He just significantly older. He has understanding. He can, if needs be, he can get involved.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did like. I think it is a really interesting take, and it works. Especially for the sort of the mood and the narrative within Zack Snyder's DC universe. I think it really does work, and it was nice because he was able to have, I think, more interesting relationships with like especially Diana, and I think it was just kind of like sweet, if anything, the relationship he had with her.
It was nice that they actually have connections now.
Yeah. And I think, that relationship with her and Batman, that sort of familiarity, and then she was able to have that same thing with Alfred, was really nice.
Yeah. I think, and then also the connection between Cyborg and Flash, or Barry and
Victor.
Yeah, that's it. Like it just left me.
Names.
I had it before I started the sentence. I had his name, but
too many.
Like it's just they work so well together. They're both clearly the brains of the team, and then you've got Superman, and it's very clear what roles each character have got in the team. Like you've got Aquaman and Superman, the brute force. You've got Wonder Woman and Batman, kind of the foundation
Leaders.
to hold it all together.
Yeah,
and then Cyborg and Victor and Barry as the nerds who come up with all the ideas and work with Alpha, who I feel like in the future, if Snyderverse does actually happen, which I'm praying to God it will.
I hope it does.
They'll work very closely with Alfred to improve Batman's suit, because let's be realistic, you can't really improve Wonder Woman's suit because that would go against her character, or Aquaman's, it goes against, or even Superman's. Batman and Flash's suit are the only ones that you can really improve on, and I feel like the three of them will work very closely to improve those two suits, to make them and also them two working together to explore the Speed Force would be amazing as well. If Snyderverse happens, of course.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then there's no way that will happen.
I think there's some interesting, and like I said, I really loved the exploration of the Barry and Victor relationship in the film. You've got the scene where they're digging Superman's grave and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, we could do this so quickly," and then they sort of talk about the philosophy of powers and Superman, and how he's Barry's idol, and all of that kind of stuff.
Barry just wants to pay his respect. It was nice to see also having Henry Allen. It was nice to see him in the film as well, and you actually see him pushing Barry to go and be his own person instead of being dragged down by wanting to prove his dad's innocence. Which in the TV show as well, that is definitely something that they should have included more, is Barry fighting to be his own person without worrying about his dad, while still you missed a major step in his reason to become a CSI.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It is on top of in spite of everything. I think that's just a more realistic depiction of what Henry Allen would of his opinion of the situation. I think would be he wouldn't want his son spending his whole life
trying to fight an innocence,
trying to prove his innocence
will never happen.
And stuff. But he also wanted, there was that theme of him wanting to get him a proper job, like a job.
Yeah.
And
he got that.
He gets there, and that allows him to still chase his dream of proving his dad's innocence, but it's also fulfilling his dad's dreams for him, which I think is a really nice way of combining those two elements. And again, it's down to just very good writing and direction.
This isn't even just for the Snyderverse, for DC as a whole. Is with the CW verse have going on. They need to be very careful with what storylines they use. If they use the same ones, they need to put their own twist on. Otherwise, it's going to be like, we already know what happens there, know what happens there. Like with the multiverse, CW has already explored that extensively, and maybe to a point where it's a little bit just like, it's the multiverse, it's nothing special. So when they eventually get around to that, if they get around to that, they're going to have to be very clever on how they do it. Yeah, and especially with Barry running back in time at the end of it, it's definitely they've already Zack put his own twist on it, which worked. And when he's running to go back in time, it turns back time as well. And I think that works a lot better than most people will realize.
Yeah, I think that I would agree, and I think there's there's elements of Barry's story that are going to be very interesting going forward. Obviously, they did make the name drops with the Speed Force and the running back in time thing that are obviously hints to setting up the Flash movie. And,
I can't wait for the Flash movie. It's going to be so good. Yeah.
No, I do, and I do like Ezra Miller's Flash. I do think it's good. But I think you're right with the multiverse stuff. What you said about that, the CW verse has, like you said, explored it extensively with the Crisis arcs,
and also like having a new Wells every single season.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I love seeing Tom Carrier play Harrison Wells and Nash and Sherlock and all of that. But just stick with one, and can we just be done with the multiverse now? It's just like you've
I think
used
if they
it.
overplay it, which is I think one of Marvel's strengths in terms of how they're using the multiverse, because they're very much taking a very cautious, like non-involved, and they're going to do it very slowly from what it looks like, and sort of make it a special thing. But
that only happens like once every few, maybe even like once every 10 movies or so.
Yeah,
like when you get a massive team up.
And I think those two different approaches, I think probably work well in either respect, because with the way the CW have got it, like you say, they can bring in a lot of different aspects of the DC universe. You can explore sort of funny and serious tones and storylines and stuff. And then Marvel, have it, and then it's something to be really hyped about. So I think there's elements, there's pros and cons to both of their, their methods.
Definitely.
But I am looking forward to the Flash film. I think it'll be interesting to see, and seeing like Thomas Wayne as as Dark Batman and stuff like that. And
I just want to know how. I want to know how they're going to do Reverse Flash, because he's if this isn't just the CW's, everyone knows who the Reverse Flash is. Like you think of the Flash, you instantly think of the Reverse Flash. And they need to do something special with him, whether that's he starts off as a time remnant, for example, if they go down that route within the DCEU, and then he goes back in time to kill Barry's mother. And it's Barry killing his own mother out of hate for himself, and it's a whole sabotage situation like in the CW. It's just an endless loop, and that would make him a more interesting character, because then you can play off the I'm 5 steps ahead of you, because he thinks exactly the same. He knows what Barry's going to do.
Absolutely, I think there's so much potential for the Flash to have really
Warner Bros just needs to pick up their shit and do something, and
they really do. They've got these they
slated it though.
Yeah, in Cap's words, the world's in our hands, guys. We've got to do something with it.
Like it's like I don't get why they slated it. Like they clearly have something against it. Just like you might not like Zack Snyder, but you've just got to. He's probably brought in more money from that film than he has in Batman vs Superman and the original Justice League in the first, not even just over 24 hours. 36 or something.
They need to realize its worth, and I really hope they do. So let's talk a bit about now some of the other big parts of it. So the nightmare sequences and the the look at Apocalypse and the Sard and Darkseid and all of those elements. What can I say? Just apart from Chef's Kiss, it was beautiful. I think it was brilliant. And
it works well with looks. It works well with at the end of before the epilogue. It works well seeing Superman turn into how we know him in the comics, as he's literally a god. He turned full god mode in at the end of Snyder Cut, and seeing him be the opposite of that, but still be in that position in the Apocalypse, it works so well. Because if the Snyderverse does happen and they do the original plan of the 3-part Justice League, even if they never do another Justice League film, that will be a really satisfying ending, is seeing the 5 of them all fight up against, what was it, 6? Yeah, 5 or 6 of them fight up against God mode Superman. Because Flash is also the legend that we know him in the comics, so that would be a good fight. But if they do go down that route with the Apocalypse, it will be amazing.
Yeah, and they could even have the additions to the team by then. Martian Manhunter, obviously, and other people like that. So I think that would really be good. And it could work, like you said, with the trilogy, with the original trilogy plan that he proposed to Warner Brothers. It could work. At the very
Warner
least.
Brothers just needs to accept that. He knows what he's doing now. He's picked his shit up. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
and just give him the money.
It could work in the same way that the Christian Bale Batman trilogy worked. Just make it. Just make it, please. Please.
it will. Well, even if we wait another like 3 years, 4 years for the next one, people will wait for that after the ending of
Yeah, I
after
don't
it.
care.
We will happily wait for it. They just need to. They need to fill that 4 years with something, whether it's getting to know the characters more or have it introducing more characters, like giving them giving the Manhunter his own, even just a show.
Yeah, well, you know, they're
cracking
obviously
down on Titans.
they're obviously trying to like do kind of the same thing as Marvel with some of the shows and stuff. You know, with the Satana
They
show
can't do
and
that. They can't do that because Marvel's done it so well that unless Warner Brothers has got something up their sleeve that they've been saving for years, they're not going to be able to compete without someone like Zack Snyder behind them telling them all the moves and how.
I think a lot of it is dependent on what Zack Snyder wants to do. If he wants to carry on making DC stuff and he wants to
I
make
think
more
he
Justice
does.
League movies
I
and
think
he
he
wants to make
does.
shows, then they have a lot of hope. But if he doesn't, I really don't know where the DC universe is going to go next because it's a real
This is
crossroads
the biggest
now.
film since 2008, wasn't it? The last one of the Dark Knight trilogy. It's the biggest one since then.
It's around them.
And it's just they need to be, if they're going to cut him out, they need to do it. They need to do it well, and they need to find someone that can carry on at the quality that the Snyder cut was, because otherwise they're just going to crumble. And then Disney's just going to go swoop up three characters from free money.
Yeah,
and they're going to do it.
I know
right.
who will do a great job. Kathleen Kennedy. No, but yeah, they are going to have to find someone who, if Zack Snyder doesn't do it, is
even if they just. But like the new Batman, that's not even a part of the DCEU, is it? That's just this.
Yeah.
That's just so. It's just like if you're going to make films and you're going to try and do it like Marvel, you've got to be careful on how you do it, and you can't say they're not. If you're going to say they're not, make it 100% clear that they're not from the start.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll just be a case.
It's kind of a shame. It's a shame that Warner Bros. Don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think one of the other things I want to talk about, one of my other favorite things, was the score, the soundtrack to it. Was really brilliant and such an atmosphere. Like there were moments, you know, they used proper like old rock songs, and then you'd have like Bob Dylan-esque like calm guitar moments, and then you had like the Scandinavian people singing when Aquaman was going back into the sea, and it was really kind of creepy, but like set the mood.
It set the mood for the rest of Aquaman's arc in the film. And kind of prominent, but not taking up everything.
Yeah. And the one bit that I have to say did give me chills every time was the Superman theme.
Yes.
The every time those doon 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 those 4 notes, goosebumps every time. Hans Zimmer is a fucking genius.
He's on par with John Williams.
Honestly,
he knows what he's doing.
It is. I mean, Hans Zimmer is, in my opinion, the joint's most accomplished composer in history, up with John Williams. I was going to
say.
Oh yeah,
You can't beat John Williams. John Williams is
impeccable. But I do think he scored the Batman films, the Chris Nolan trilogy. The score is just incredible in that. Superman, Man of Steel, incredible score. You know, there's film Interstellar, which I love. That's a really good score. You know, he filmed, but those really powerful like musical motifs. It's just, I think because we know them for that character, and as soon as you hear them, you know, it makes you think of like, you know, Superman.
It's the same with the Avengers. Like you hear it and you're just like, that's the Avengers. But one thing I do have to say is I feel like the only way, if DC keeps up at what they're doing, the only way they're going to survive is if they bring the CW verse and DCEU together. That's the only way they'll pull something, because they've set up the Justice League extremely well in the CW verse. And that's just falling apart. Supergirl's gone. Black Lightning's finishing. Batgirl's recasted. So Martian Manhunt is also gone because Supergirl's gone. So the only ones left is, I wouldn't even say Batwoman's in it because she's not the Batwoman we know. She'll be in it, but she won't be the Batwoman that was there at the start. So it's just Flash. Who knows how long he's got?
Yeah.
Superman, because he'll replace Supergirl. Superboy if they go somewhere with Jonathan
Superman
and and then they'll probably bring in Robin at some point.
Yeah.
So, somehow they'll bring in a Batman again.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to lose momentum. I think there does need to be some sort of merger between the two universes, because if they brought them together, I think there's real potential. But you know,
if like then you could have two Flashes on the thing. Like you could have Ezra Miller's that's a very comic book accurate, awkward, passionate person, and you've got Grant Gustin's one who's a very love orientated, motivational Flash. Combine them together and you've got a perfect Flash duo. Whether or not they call them the Flash at the same is, you could have Grant Gustin's just as Flash, and then you could have Ezra Miller's as the Scarlet Speedster. It would work.
Yeah, and you know,
or even just the other way around because of lightning colors.
There's even, I think there's even, you know, there's even space for there to be a sort of mentor relationship between Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller. See, that would work perfectly, wouldn't it? Because Grant Gustin is a bit more of an adult Flash, and he's, you know, he's very much matured, knows his powers, and you know, he
can throw lightning on the spot. He can create time remnants. He knows how to supersonic boom, which is not supersonic boom, supersonic punch. Time travel, how to enhance your speeds without using chemicals. All of that, give that to Ezra Miller's Flash. Crisis 2, for example, if they ever decide to somehow try and make that work.
Yeah.
Grant Gustin's Flash dies, you've still got a Flash that works just as well with all the same powers.
Yeah.
It would work. Batman's on the Justice League.
Yeah.
Cyborg is you've got two Supermans. One of the Supermans dies off in the big thing. Aquaman, because they won't introduce Aquaman into the CW verse, that just won't work. Stargirl will probably end up being on there, and then Wonder Woman will join with Stargirl.
Yeah, so there is just so much potential. So you know, I am hopeful. You know, who knows? But you know, I think we should try and have some hope at least to the
Snyderverse will work.
There will be some stuff going on there, and we can only hope. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to mention that you like and stuff about them?
Well, besides Superman turning God mode, Flash turning God mode, and Martian Manhunter. He was so his suit is amazing. Like I love that it wasn't just red. I love that it was a glowy kind of red that like dissipates and reappears.
Yeah, it's like so plasma-y. It's like
and also I love how open they left the Green Lantern, because they sent off the ring, and then in the Apocalypse thing you see a dead Lantern. I think it was in there. You see a lantern at some point.
Yeah.
And that leaves the and you don't see their face, so it's like, who is the Green Lantern?
Yeah.
Snyder, bring in the Snyderverse. You've got a decent Green Lantern set up, and then you can cast whoever because you haven't put a face to it.
Yeah.
You can take it all the way back to the first invasion on Earth. They've got so much potential.
There is a lot that could be done there, and I'm very hopeful we get more Zack Snyder, because it would be a gift to DC and a gift to comic book fans everywhere. I think, you know, there's so much. But
one thing I do want to see 100%. I don't mind if we don't see a Green Lantern film or show, but a Martian Manhunter film. That would be amazing, because he's one of, if you keep up with comic books, chances are he's one of your favorite characters in DC. Like he's so unique.
Yeah, he's a great character, and like you say, the design on Justice League was just brilliant.
And he's got a lot of, even in the comics, you can tell you never fully get to know him. He's always got secrets that are ready to be explored.
Yeah, and I would agree. I really hope we see some more of him, because great character, epic design for the live action, and a lot of potential, I think, in future projects.
definitely.
But yeah, I would agree. You know, and the Superman God mode is just brilliant. And also when he starts punching and laser eyeing Steppenwolf, that was quite scary, to be honest.
Oh, it was like, if he can do that to someone that he's known for 30 seconds, what if he's got a lifetime of anger built up on, like, Batman, for example, because he died next to Batman? What could he could do? He could literally kill Batman with a punch of a finger, a tap of a finger.
Yeah, scary to think about.
The thing is, the only one that can really compete with him at the moment is Wonder Woman. She's the only one that's on par with.
Yeah.
Well, not even on par. She's slacking, but she could keep up with him.
Yeah, she could battle him for a while, but
she could hold her own.
Yeah, she could hold her own, but I wouldn't say she'd win by any means.
If she was going to win, she'd need the help of Aquaman.
Yeah, or like Kryptonite or something. You know, she
line a shield with Kryptonite.
Yeah, she may have a chance, but he is just. And the black suit
gone
was
through
awesome.
The roof. Oh, that was a complete fan satisfaction.
Yeah, it was really good, and the sort of really metallic look to it.
Yes,
just perfect, absolutely brilliant.
Like you can even see in the photo you've got behind you is that he's like you can see the metallic, and it just looks amazing.
Yeah, you can see all the details here, and especially if you look at the S, it was that sort of darker on the detailing there, and then the sort of darker bits. It's very, very like iron. It's like silver iron, and
it's very. Brilliant. I'm a badass now. Fear me.
Yeah, it's very much. I am in control. Don't fuck with me because
I will ruin you. To be fair, if he got mad enough and he lost it completely, in the state he's in at the end of Snyder Cut, he could probably punch Earth to pieces.
Literally,
he's that powerful.
Scary.
And just think, his punches were making sound waves to the cities and that.
Yeah.
And so was it Scream. And now, it's stupid.
Chills.
Yeah. Oh, I've got chills all the back. I've had chills down my back since we started recording this.
Honestly. Well, I guess all we can say is hopeful for the future. Let's pray that we get more. But yeah, thank you for watching our rambling discussion about how much we love this. And we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did too, and enjoyed talking about or listening to us talk about it. But yes, so like I said, go check out the weekly podcast if you haven't already as well. All Marvel stuff and Falcon and Winter Soldier and crazy antics.
I wouldn't say it's Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's loose.
Yes, it's very much an open brief. So go check that out if you want. And that's the Hex Files. And you can either watch that on YouTube or you can listen to it as a podcast, which is on Spotify and iTunes. But yes, thank you very much for joining us. If you want to check out any more content, you can find us, like I said, on Instagram and TikTok at AOMCU21, or you can check out our website, Agents of MCU. But you have been joined by me, Joe.
Me, Will.
And thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time.